Okay, let's talk a little bit about the assignment. So I didn't go into details there. Let's first make that clear. So for your group assignment, find something interesting to forecast. Interesting, you will have to present it to your classmates, and another invention of Bob, classmates will judge your presentation, and these judgments will influence your grade.
What?
Okay. So,
It's like 100.
so okay, here, don't use Fred, use some other source of data. Not seasonally adjusted data. So you can see yourself whether there's a seasonal adjustment needed or not. Then you prepare a 2-year ahead, monthly or quarterly forecast. So you take monthly or quarterly data. Okay? Then you have a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation. And find if it's Spreadsheet or some other presentation software too. Make it nice and impressive. The format of the presentation should be a presentation like for an important business meeting. So you should wear professional dress, and the style and demeanor of your presentation should be professional. Okay? Real stuff. What do you have to prepare? Description and the plot of your data, the plot of your forecast, non-technical description of kind of why you got this forecast, assumptions and risk factors. Okay? You can have detailed questions, technical questions. So it's not the presentation is important, but you also have to know the technical details, because even during the presentation you might have questions on the technical details. The presentation is on the 26th, so that's next Friday, from 1 to 3. So by noon, send it to me. Okay?
So is that for 5 minutes for each group? Or?
Yes, 5 minutes for the group. Now go to the group. I think we have 21 people, correct? So that's 3 people per group, that's 7 groups. Before you present, we will draw randomly one of the presenters. On the day, yes. So everybody should be ready to present the whole thing, including the technical questions. So other people are not supposed to answer questions. Okay?
So other 2 people's grade is depending on that.
Yes.
What?
It's a group grade. Each individual presenter should be ready to present. Right? Okay. Remember, this is 20% of your grade. Why is it done like that? To avoid free riding in groups. To make sure that everybody understands the whole thing. Okay. The members of the other groups will be asked to evaluate your presentation, and I will use their feedback in my grade. They will assess you on style. Is it all interesting? Is it all professional? And substance. Do you know what you're talking about? 80% of the grade will be style, 20% will be substance. So this is really a presentation exercise on top of knowing the technical details. All makes sense? You can choose the group yourself. That's what you can choose, not randomly drawn. No questions on the group assignments? Alright, let's look at the individual assignments. For the project, for the individual project, fairly similar. Choose a series, not from Fred. When you choose a series, send your proposal for your series to me. We don't want to have 2 students working on the same series. So you decide about your series, send it to me, I approve. It's first come, first serve basis, so if there are 2 people who send me the same series, whoever sent it first will get it. Okay? You forecast your series, just like before, and you have a 1-page business memo. We'll discuss this business memo later. Okay? Then you send this business memo together with the data, your programs, and your eViews file. So I can see whether I can replicate your findings. The deadline for this is Friday, 2 weeks from now. So this Friday test, next Friday group presentation, the Friday after that individual project. Deadline is 9 a.m. on Friday. Again, a Bob Reed invention. There will be a 50% penalty if your email is received late. Right? So you have an incentive to be on time.
Big smile on
Yes, yes. From now on, I'm going to always use this. I think it's a very good invention. So far, I always relied on the goodwill of students, and I also thought the students were good and they would send things on time. This seems to be more effective. Okay? Again, very important, this is not group work. This is 100% individual work. Okay? If you have questions, ask me. If you need advice on something, you got stuck somewhere, ask me. So, not anybody else. Okay? Question on this one?
How about the text on Friday?
Test on Friday is simple. I give you a series, you forecast, and kind of you explain. It's kind of more, it's the basic stuff.
Okay.
So basically, kind of by Friday, you should know how to forecast, and you should know the basic stuff. And the test is just to make sure that you are able to do that.
Can we use any resources?
For the test, it's open book, open everything except not open friends. So that's the whole thing. I mean, it's easy to study this thing. You have all these programs. Once you get the hang of it, once you know these programs, and you just realize that you have to make the changes necessary to adapt these programs to your specific series, everything else is simple. Right? Okay, so what we're now going to do in this program is, well, we work on our we work on the basis of what we found in terms of trend and in terms of seasonality, but we add 20 MA terms. We're also going to make a forecast. To be able to make a forecast, we're going to do the following. So we start with a sample where we have all observations. Then we create a new variable. The new variable generate data 2. Generate a new series. Data 2, and we say data 2 is everywhere not available. Right? So you create a new data series, and rather than having values in that data series, you all say they're all missing. And now we're going to then kind of restrict sample to exclude last 24 observations. So you say, take a sample from the first observation to the last minus 24. Why would we want to do that?
Well, because you don't have those lag variables on top.
That would be excluding the first 20. Here, we're going to say 24 months, 2 years. We're going to predict these 2 years and compare them to the actual. So we say, kick out the last 24 observations. We're going to predict those, and then later on we're going to compare to those. Okay, so predict these, and then compare to actuals. So here, this is just for this example. We want to kind of compare our forecast to what actually happened. This is basically an out-of-sample forecast. Huh? We're going to say, okay, we take all the data except for the last 2 years, and then forecast those last 2 years. And then compare them to the actuals of these 2 years. Then we can see how different they were. We make an out-of-sample forecast and can study how good we are. Then we have our different models. We call them Wold now. The Wold theorem says that we can express any series as a sum of all these error terms. So okay, let's regress it all. The first model, just a constant and trend and seasonality. And then the one with NA. And here, these things freeze something. This is the graph with the residuals. This is always the graph with the residuals. So we estimate our 4 different equations. Of course, this is the one that we're really interested in, because we already said we know already the best model is the one with the constant, the trend, and the seasonal dummies. And then we're going to do some forecast based on this last equation. So we're going to say, okay, now focus on this one. Focus on the sample from the last to minus 24. From last minus 24 till the last one. So this is the last 2 years of data. Remember, we excluded these in the beginning. Now we're going to focus our forecast there. And now we're going to say forecast. The forecast is based on last equation. So in this case, it's the Wold 4 one. So when you do forecast, it always refers to the last one. The last one, the one that you just did before. In this program, we have 4 different equations that we estimate. But when we then say forecast, it reflects to the last one we actually estimated. So we say forecast based on that last specification. This is the name of our forecast. And this is put not available on any time period before the sample. Put not available outside these 2 years. No? So we had, say, 10 years before, 10 years of data, use it for 2 years of data prediction. So we use this to predict that one, and then we're going to make predictions only for this period. And here it will be not available. In our data 2F1, in the forecasted data, we're going to just forecast for these last 2 years. Everything before these last 2 years will be not available. Next step, go to sample all. Bring back all observations. And group things. We're going to say, put data and data forecast together. And then make a line graph. So put the actual, put original data and the forecast